First contact deception. The message that changed humanity's destiny arrived on a quiet Tuesday afternoon at the Arecibo Observatory. Dr. Elena Santos stared at her monitor, her coffee growing cold beside her keyboard, as she triple-checked the signal pattern. After 20 years of scanning the stars for signs of intelligent life, she had found something that couldn't be explained away as a pulsar or distant quasar. The signal wasn't meant for human detection. It was a tight beam transmission between 2 points at the edge of our solar system, encrypted but detectable due to a quantum fluctuation that created a brief echo in normal space. Elena's quantum detection algorithm, dismissed by most of her colleagues as unnecessarily complex, had caught what conventional SETI systems would have missed. Within hours, a secure quantum link connected her terminal to the hidden facility beneath Mount Cheyenne. General Sarah Chen, director of the newly formed Stellar Defense Initiative, studied the decryption attempt with growing concern. The message fragments painted a disturbing picture. Earth was under surveillance, and had been for centuries. "The Araxian Empire," Chen murmured, reading the translated text. "They've been watching us since before the Industrial Revolution, waiting for the right moment to integrate us into their empire." She turned to the holographic projection of Dr. James Morrison, Earth's leading expert in synapsecology. "Your assessment." Morrison's avatar adjusted his spectacles, a habit he maintained even in holographic form. "Based on the intercepted communications, they're patient colonizers. They wait until a species reaches a specific technological threshold, then initiate contact under the guise of peaceful cultural exchange. By the time the target civilization realizes they're being systematically enslaved through technological and economic dependence, it's too late. And they think we're approaching their threshold," Elena added, her dark eyes reflecting the glow of the quantum displays. "The increase in surveillance chatter suggests they're preparing for first contact within the next 5 years. Chen's expression hardened. In the decades since humanity had discovered the principles of quantum physics that revolutionized their understanding of space, time, and consciousness, they had prepared for this possibility. The public face of Earth's technology, conventional rockets, primitive space stations, and clumsy attempts at Mars colonization, was an elaborate deception. Behind this carefully maintained facade lay achievements that would have seemed like magic even a century ago. "Initiate Protocol Nebula," Chen commanded. Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum sensors activated, building a complete picture of the Araxian observation network. They counted 12 stealth platforms scattered through the Kuiper Belt, 3 long-range monitoring stations disguised as asteroids, and a regular patrol of cloaked vessels that passed through the system every 26 days. In the weeks that followed, humanity's greatest secret project accelerated. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in quantum-shielded caverns that existed partially outside normal spacetime, the massive fabrication engines of Project Oracle hummed to life. Here, they built technology that merged quantum mechanics with human consciousness in ways the Araxians couldn't comprehend. The key to humanity's advancement had come from an unexpected direction. While other civilizations pursued artificial intelligence as a separate entity, Earth's scientists had discovered that consciousness itself was a quantum phenomenon. They didn't need to create AI. They could extend human consciousness through quantum fields, creating a seamless blend of human intuition and computational power. Dr. Victor Raman, head of the Oracle project, stood in the central control sphere. His consciousness merged with the quantum network that connected every human defense installation in the solar system. "The Araxians' technology is impressive," he observed, his voice echoing with the harmonic resonance of the quantum field, "but fundamentally limited. They see quantum effects as something to be controlled and contained. We learn to swim in the quantum sea." Elena, who had been brought into the project after her discovery, watched in amazement as the quantum displays showed the true extent of Earth's defensive capabilities. Nested fields of probability manipulation could redirect any attack. Quantum consciousness projectors could detect hostile intent across light years. And most importantly, The quantum shield grid could selectively alter the fundamental physical constants within Earth's solar system, rendering any unwanted technology useless while leaving human systems unaffected. "We let them think we're primitive," Chen explained to Elena, "because it gives us time. Every day they wait is another day we strengthen our position. When they finally make their move, they'll find that humanity isn't the easy target they expected." As if in response to her words, a quantum sensor alert pulsed through the network. One of the Araxian observation platforms was moving, adjusting its orbit for a better view of Earth's major population centers. They were entering the next phase of their reconnaissance. "Let them watch." Chen smiled, but there was steel in her voice. "Let them see exactly what we want them to see. Humanity has been playing a long game, but it's the Araxian Empire that's about to learn they're not the only ones who can be patient and clever." In the quantum-shifted spaces between realities, humanity's true fleet waited. Ships that could traverse dimensions, weapons that could rewrite local physics, and defenses that operated on principles the Araxians hadn't even discovered. Earth wasn't just preparing for first contact. They were preparing to fundamentally challenge the Empire's understanding of what was possible. The game of deception would continue until the moment was right, and when that moment came, the Araxian Empire would learn that humanity had long since surpassed the technological threshold they were waiting for. Earth wasn't going to be another conquered world in their empire. Instead, they would become the force that changed the very nature of galactic civilization. The Silent Shield. The Araxian diplomatic vessel Eternal Grace emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in patterns designed to inspire awe in primitive species. Ambassador Lyra Tell stood on the command deck, her iridescent scales shifting colors with anticipation. After centuries of observation, the Empire would finally welcome Earth into its embrace. "Status of the ceremonial fleet?" she asked, her translator converting her harmonic speech into the ship's standard communication format. "All 12 vessels in formation, Ambassador," Captain Voss responded, his cybernetic implants pulsing with data. "Our stealth systems are operating at peak efficiency. The humans will only see what we want them to see." Lyra allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Eternal Grace was merely the visible tip of the spear. Hidden behind advanced cloaking fields, the rest of the fleet waited to ensure humanity's peaceful acceptance of Araxian guidance. It was a strategy that had worked flawlessly on countless worlds. In the quantum-shifted command center beneath Mount Cheyenne, General Chen watched the Araxian fleet's approach on displays that showed reality across 11 dimensions. "They're right on schedule," she noted, "and exactly as arrogant as we expected." Dr. Morrison's hologram nodded. "Their psychological profile is consistent with every transmission we've intercepted. They genuinely believe they're helping lesser species by conquering them. It makes them predictable." Elena Santos, recently promoted to head of quantum communications, monitored the intricate web of sensors surrounding Earth. The public satellites and detection systems remained cheerfully blind to the Araxian presence, but humanity's true defensive grid tracked every quantum fluctuation, every subtle shift in spacetime. "They're broadcasting first contact protocols on all standard frequencies," Elena reported. "The message is exactly what we expected. Greetings, promises of friendship, offers of technological assistance. Very polished, very reassuring, and completely hollow," Chen added. She opened her quantum link to the Oracle network, connecting with the vast consciousness that united Earth's defenders. "Are we ready, Dr. Raman?" Victor Raman's consciousness resonated through the quantum field. "The Silent Shield is fully charged. At your command, we can isolate the entire solar system in a quantum bubble where our laws of physics are the only laws that matter." The Araxian fleet continued its majestic approach, unaware that they were being observed at levels they couldn't comprehend. Their sensors showed exactly what they expected: a primitive civilization on the verge of true spaceflight, with crude satellites and a handful of small space stations. Ambassador Lyra prepared for humanity's first glimpse of their ship, knowing the carefully choreographed moment would be recorded in Imperial archives as another successful first contact. The Eternal Grace's cloaking field began to dissolve, its crystalline hull catching sunlight in a deliberately dramatic reveal. "Curious," Captain Voss muttered, checking his instruments. "I'm detecting some unusual quantum fluctuations, perhaps a natural phenomenon." Before Lyra could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up with an alert. The hidden vessels of their escort fleet were suddenly reporting critical system failures. Impossible energy readings erupted around them as space itself seemed to twist. In the Quantum Command Center, Chen gave the order. "Initiate the silent shield. Let's show them what humanity has been working on while they watched our rocket launches." The effect was immediate and dramatic. A cascading wave of quantum manipulation swept through the solar system, selectively altering the fundamental forces that the Araxians' technology relied upon. Their advanced ships, designed to dominate any conventional force, found themselves trapped in a region of space where their systems simply couldn't function as intended. Aboard the Eternal Grace, chaos erupted as system after system failed. "Impossible," Lyra whispered, watching as their mighty escort fleet became visible, their cloaking fields collapsing. "They're supposed to be primitive. They couldn't possibly." Her words cut off as a new ship appeared before them, emerging from what looked like a fold in reality itself. The vessel was smaller than their diplomatic ship, but its design defied Imperial understanding. It seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, its quantum-shifted hull phasing between dimensions in ways that made Araxian sensors malfunction. A communication cut through their confusion, bypassing their encryption as if it didn't exist. The human face that appeared on their screens was calm, almost sympathetic. "This is General Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We appreciate your diplomatic overture, but we need to establish some ground rules before any formal contact." Lyra struggled to maintain her diplomatic composure. I don't understand. Our records show your species hasn't even achieved reliable interplanetary travel." "Your records show what we wanted them to show," Chen replied. "While you watched our chemical rockets and satellite launches, we were building quantum shipyards in pocket dimensions. While you monitored our internet, we were extending human consciousness through quantum fields that your sensors can't detect." As if to demonstrate her words, more human vessels emerged from quantum space, each one radiating power signatures that the Araxians' most advanced systems couldn't properly measure. They took positions around the Imperial fleet, not threatening, but making it clear that any aggressive action would be futile. "We've known about your observation posts for decades," Chen continued. "We knew exactly what kind of peaceful contact you were planning. The Araxian Empire's method of conquest through technological dependence is clever, but humanity chose a different path. We developed our technology in secret, focused on one goal, ensuring that Earth would never be colonized." Lyra's scales had faded to a pale gray of shock and confusion. Everything about this encounter was wrong. The humans weren't supposed to have this level of technology. They weren't supposed to know about the Empire's true intentions, and they certainly weren't supposed to have defenses that could neutralize an Imperial fleet without firing a shot. As the Eternal Grace hung powerless in space, surrounded by ships that seemed to defy reality itself, Lyra realized that the Empire's carefully laid plans had just collided with something unprecedented, a species that had anticipated their coming and prepared accordingly. The question now was whether centuries of Imperial doctrine could adapt to this new reality, or if Earth would become the pebble that started an avalanche of change throughout the galaxy. Diplomatic dance. The Imperial Palace on Araxis Prime had never seen a delegation quite like this one. The human diplomatic vessel, Prometheus, hung in high orbit, its quantum-shifted hull causing the Empire's most sophisticated sensors to report contradictory readings. Inside the palace's grand chamber, Ambassador Lyra watched as the human representatives stepped through what appeared to be a localized fold in spacetime. They had essentially created a door between their ship and the palace floor. General Chen led the Earth delegation, accompanied by Dr. Elena Santos and Dr. Victor Raman. They wore no environmental suits despite the chamber's exotic atmosphere. Instead, quantum fields adjusted the local environment around them to Earth-standard conditions. It was a casual display of technological superiority that sent murmurs through the assembled imperial court. High Chancellor Xanvar, the Empire's supreme leader, rose from the crystalline throne that served as both seat of power and central processing node for the imperial governance network. His form rippled with colors that reflected both authority and carefully controlled agitation. "We have reviewed the reports from the first contact mission," Xanvar began, his harmonic voice resonating through the chamber. "They raise disturbing questions about humanity's development path. We're happy to answer those questions," Chen replied with a diplomatic smile. "Though I suspect your real concern isn't how we developed our technology, but what we plan to do with it." The High Chancellor's colors shifted to a deeper hue. "You must understand our position. For 50,000 years, the Araxian Empire has guided younger species toward enlightenment. Our methods ensure stable development and prevent the chaos of unrestricted technological growth." Dr. Raman stepped forward, his quantum interface allowing him to perceive the complex networks of power and influence flowing through the chamber. "You mean you ensure dependency and prevent any real competition. We've analyzed the technology you share with other species. Every innovation is designed to make them reliant on imperial systems." "A necessity for maintaining order," one of the imperial ministers interjected. "We've seen the alternatives. Species that develop too quickly destroy themselves or become threats to galactic stability." Helena Santos activated a holographic display, showing the true extent of Earth's quantum technology. "We chose a different path. Instead of rushing to match your visible technology, we developed in secret, focusing on understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself. We learned to work with quantum fields rather than trying to control them." The display showed Earth's defensive systems, the quantum shield that could selectively alter physical laws within the solar system, the consciousness-integrated computing that made AI slavery obsolete, and the dimensional engineering that allowed them to hide entire industrial complexes in pocket universes. "Impossible," another minister declared, their crystalline form vibrating with disbelief. "No species could develop such capabilities without outside influence." "That's exactly the kind of thinking that led you to underestimate us," Chen responded. "You were so convinced of your own superiority that you never considered a species might find a completely different path of advancement." High Chancellor Xanvar's colors had shifted to the deep purple of serious contemplation. "What are your intentions? If you've developed these capabilities in secret, why reveal them now?" "Because it's time for the Empire to evolve," Chen stated firmly. "We're not interested in conquest or domination. We don't want to destroy the Empire or free its subject worlds by force. What we want is to offer a choice, both to you and to every species under your control." Dr. Raman activated another display, this one showing a new type of quantum network that could span the galaxy. "We're proposing a true partnership, not one based on dependency and control, but on mutual growth and understanding. Our quantum technology can be adapted to work alongside imperial systems, enhancing rather than replacing them." The chamber erupted in discussion, ministers and courtiers debating the implications. Through it all, Ambassador Lyra Tell watched the human delegation with newfound understanding. Their show of force in the solar system hadn't been about humiliating the Empire. It had been about proving they were strong enough that their offer of peace had to be taken seriously. High Chancellor Xanvar raised a limb for silence. "And if we refuse this partnership, if we choose to maintain our current path, then Earth and the solar system remain close to you," Chen replied simply. "We'll maintain our quantum shield and continue our own development. But ask yourself, how long can the Empire maintain control once other species learn that there's an alternative? We haven't broadcast our capabilities to your subject worlds, but we won't help you hide the truth either." The implications hung in the air like a physical force. The Empire faced a choice: adapt to a new reality where they weren't the unchallenged masters of advanced technology, or risk losing everything as their carefully maintained system of control began to unravel. "There is much to consider," Dixan Var finally declared. "We request time to evaluate your proposal." "Of course," Chen agreed. "But understand that while you deliberate, Earth will continue advancing. The next time we meet, the technological gap between us may be even wider." As the human delegation prepared to depart through their spatial fold, Ambassador Lyra approached them privately. Her scales had taken on the rare silver sheen of profound realization. "You could have simply hidden forever," she said. "Why take the risk of revealing yourselves?" Elena Santos smiled. "Because humanity remembers its own history, both the glory of discovery and the shame of colonization. We developed our technology not just to protect ourselves, but to ensure no species would have to face what we once did. The Empire can be more than a system of control. We're offering you the chance to prove it." The spatial fold closed behind them, leaving the Imperial Court to grapple with a fundamental challenge to everything they had believed about their place in the galaxy. The diplomatic dance had begun, and its outcome would reshape the future of not just humanity and the Empire, but every species watching from the shadows of Imperial control. The ripple effect. On the desert world of Kepler 186f, in a hidden research facility beneath the crystalline dunes, Dr. Mira Nix carefully examined the quantum data packet that had somehow slipped through the Empire's communication controls. The Centaurian scientist's bioluminescent patches pulsed with excitement as she decoded the transmission's contents. What she found made her four hearts skip simultaneously. "It's all here," she whispered to her assembled team of resistant scientists. "Quantum field manipulation, consciousness integration protocols, dimensional engineering principles. The humans aren't just sharing proof of their advancement. They're giving us the foundation to develop our own technology." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on hundreds of worlds. The Empire's greatest strength, its vast network of quantum communication relays, had become a vulnerability. Earth's quantum specialists had found ways to piggyback their transmissions on the Imperial network, sending packets of information that the Empire's systems registered as routine background noise. In the Quantum Command Center beneath Mount Cheyenne, Elena Santos monitored the spread of information through the galaxy. The quantum consciousness network allowed her to visualize the flow of data as rivers of light connecting distant stars. "The knowledge transfer is proceeding faster than we anticipated," she reported to General Chen. "The subjugated species aren't just accepting the information, they're innovating with it. Some of them are already developing applications we hadn't considered." Chen nodded, studying the holographic display of the galaxy. Points of light representing worlds under Imperial control had begun to pulse with new energy signatures. The Empire's greatest mistake was assuming that technological dependency would breed mental dependency. Instead, they created billions of brilliant minds desperate for a chance to prove themselves. On the industrial world of Proxima b, that proof was taking physical form. In massive underground factories that had once produced components for Imperial ships, engineers from a dozen species worked together in secret. They combined Earth's quantum principles with their own technological traditions, creating hybrid systems that even humanity hadn't imagined. The Empire's response was predictable but ineffective. Imperial security forces increased their patrols, searching for signs of unauthorized technological development. But how could they find research facilities that existed partially in other dimensions? How could they intercept communications that traveled through quantum fields their sensors couldn't detect? Dr. Victor Raman, interfacing with the quantum network from his lunar laboratory, detected a surge of activity in the Imperial capital. "They're starting to understand the full implications," he reported. "The Empire's economic model is based on technological dependency, as their subject species develop their own quantum technology. Their entire system of control begins to collapse." Chen finished. "But that's not even the biggest threat they're facing." She was right. Throughout the Empire, a new kind of revolution was taking shape, not one of violence and destruction, but of quiet enlightenment. Species that had been rivals under imperial rule began sharing discoveries, combining their unique perspectives to accelerate their development. On the forest world of Kepler 442 bits, verdant researchers collaborated with silicon-based life forms from the gas giant HD 40,000, 307 grams, their different approaches to quantum mechanics yielding breakthroughs that surprised even Earth's scientists. The Empire had kept its subject species isolated from each other, knowing that cooperation could breed independence. Now that barrier was crumbling. Ambassador Lyra Tell, watching these developments from her position in the imperial court, found herself increasingly torn between loyalty to the Empire and fascination with the transformation spreading through known space. She secretly arranged a meeting with Earth's diplomatic team. "You have to understand," she told them, her scales shifting through patterns of concern. "The Empire isn't just a political entity. It's a way of life that has existed for 50,000 years. This change you've initiated, it's not just threatening our control, it's challenging everything we believe about how civilization should function." "We know," Elena replied gently. "That's why we didn't simply attack when we had the chance. The Empire doesn't need to end. It needs to evolve. Your people have accumulated 50,000 years of knowledge and experience. That's incredibly valuable, but only if you're willing to share it as equals rather than masters." In the Imperial Palace, High Chancellor Xanvar received increasingly desperate reports from across the Empire. A shipyard in the Carina Nebula had somehow developed quantum propulsion drives without Imperial assistance. A research station in the Pleiades cluster had created its own consciousness integration network. Most alarming of all, subject species that had been hereditary enemies were now working together, sharing discoveries, and advancing at an unprecedented rate. "We could still launch a military response," one of his advisors suggested. "Our fleets are still the largest in known space. Our fleets that depend on technology we can no longer control," another minister countered. "The humans didn't just show us a new form of advancement. They proved that everything we believed about technological development was wrong. We thought we were shepherding lesser species. Instead, we were holding back a wave of potential that's now breaking free." Back on Earth, in a quantum-shifted conference room that overlooked both the Pacific Ocean and the surface of Mars simultaneously, humanity's leaders monitored the cascade of changes sweeping the galaxy. They had known their revelation would cause upheaval, but the speed and scale of the response had exceeded their models. "Phase 4 is proceeding ahead of schedule," Chen reported. "The question is, will the Empire choose to adapt, or will they risk everything trying to maintain control?" The answer would determine not just the future of Earth and the Empire, but the destiny of every species that had ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of true freedom. New Dawn, the Great Hall of the Galactic Conclave, constructed within a quantum-shifted space that intersected 1,000 worlds simultaneously, hummed with the energy of history in the making. Representatives from every species in known space gathered for the first time as equals, their combined knowledge and traditions creating possibilities that would have been unimaginable just a year earlier. High Chancellor Xanvar stood before the assembled delegates, his crystalline form radiating the deep blue of profound change. The decision he was about to announce would reshape the galaxy forever. "For 50,000 years," he began, his harmonic voice reaching every corner of the vast chamber, "the Araxian Empire has guided the development of civilization among the stars. We believed our way was the only way to prevent chaos and destruction. We were wrong." General Chen, representing Earth, exchanged glances with Dr. Elena Santos. After months of careful negotiation and demonstration of humanity's quantum technologies, the Empire had finally made its choice. "The humans showed us not just new technology, but a new way of thinking," Sanvar continued. "They proved that true strength comes not from control, but from cooperation. Not from dependency, but from diversity. Today, the Empire as you knew it ceases to exist. A murmur swept through the assembled delegates. Dr. Mira Nix, the Centaurian scientist whose quantum innovations had helped spread Earth's knowledge, felt her bioluminescence pulse with emotion. Everything they had worked for was coming to fruition. In its place, Xanvar announced, "We propose the formation of the Galactic Quantum Cooperative. Every species will have equal representation. All technological knowledge will be shared freely. The quantum networks that once maintained our control will now connect us all in voluntary collaboration." Ambassador Lyra Tell, who had worked tirelessly to convince the Imperial Court of the need for change, activated the central display. A new form of quantum network sprang to life around them, one that combined Earth's consciousness integration with Imperial transmission technology and innovations from a dozen other species. "Already, we're seeing what we can achieve together," she said, her scales shimmering with pride. "The Verdant Silicon Alliance has developed quantum terraforming techniques that could reclaim dead worlds. The Centaurian Human Research Team has found ways to extend consciousness across light years without delay. Every day brings new discoveries that none of us could have achieved alone." Dr. Victor Raman, his consciousness merged with the quantum field that connected all present, shared a visualization of the changes already sweeping through known space. Worlds that had been locked in technological stasis were blossoming with innovation. Species that had been bitter rivals were now working together, combining their unique perspectives to solve problems that had seemed insurmountable. But this transformation brings new responsibilities. General Chen addressed the assembly. "With the power to reshape reality itself comes the duty to use it wisely. Earth learned this lesson through centuries of our own mistakes. We developed our quantum technology in secret, not just to protect ourselves, but to ensure we would be ready to help guide this transition." The holographic display shifted to show the new structures being put in place. Quantum ethics councils composed of all species, cooperative research networks that spanned the galaxy, and new forms of governance that used consciousness integration to achieve true consensus rather than mere compromise. High Chancellor Xanvar raised his crystalline limbs in a gesture that symbolized both ending and beginning. "The age of empire is over. The age of cooperation begins. Let all species rise together, not through conquest or control, but through shared wisdom and mutual respect." In the quantum-shifted spaces between realities, humanity's greatest achievement took form. Not the technology they had developed, but the change they had inspired. The empire that had sought to conquer them had instead been transformed by them, not through force, but through demonstration of a better way. Dr. Santos, monitoring the quantum fields that connected all present, detected something remarkable. The combined consciousness of the assembled species, each contributing their unique perspective and experience, was creating new possibilities that transcended individual understanding. The quantum network wasn't just sharing information. It was generating new forms of knowledge, new ways of perceiving reality itself. "We stand at a threshold," Chen told the assembly. "Beyond it lies not just technological advancement, but evolution of consciousness itself. Together, we can explore dimensions of existence that none of us could reach alone." As the delegates began the work of building this new galactic society, the quantum field resonated with shared purpose. Earth had achieved something unprecedented in the galaxy's history, not the defeat of an empire, but its transformation into something greater. In her private thoughts, transmitted through the quantum network to her closest colleagues, Elena Santos reflected on how far they had come. "We developed our technology to ensure humanity would never be colonized," she mused. "Instead, we found a way to ensure no species would ever need to fear colonization again." The ripples of this transformation would continue spreading through the cosmos, touching every world, every species, every individual who looked up at the stars. The galaxy was entering a new dawn, one where the combined wisdom and creativity of all species would light the way forward. High Chancellor Xanvar, in his final act as imperial leader and first as a member of the cooperative, activated the quantum protocol that would broadcast this moment across known space. On every world, in every language, The message was the same. The age of empire had ended. The age of unlimited possibility had begun.